Did you know that the autumn equinox, the festival of Michaelmas, the festival of Mabon, all of these incredible celebrations of the onset or pinnacle of the autumn season are incredibly important to helping us to find our sense of empowerment? That's what today's video is about. I want to share with you just a little bit about different aspects, different things that are happening during this time of the year as we are in and around the autumn equinox and the festivals that begin to happen. Many of us have questions about these, wondering what they are, what do they mean, why are they important? And believe it or not, they are very important. So stick around because I want to share them with you. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Kim Marie, and this channel is all about supporting women to step into the most empowered essence of who they are, finding and embodying the empowered woman within them. Now, I am really a big advocate of honoring the cycles of nature because the cycles of nature are such an important teaching or element of finding our own empowered self. And the quarterly markers of the equinoxes and solstices are super important in that way. In particular, there's like portals of energy that we can step into that are available to us. Now, I recently hosted a free online workshop that was for the autumn equinox. And if you are interested in looking at that, seeing the recording and getting a meditation that goes along with that to tune into this energy, which is ongoing, it wasn't just for the autumn equinox, you're welcome to join my free Inner Wisdom Circle community. There's a link in the description, so be sure to check that out because you might really enjoy tuning into the energy in a deeper way than we can do in a short video like this. But first I want to just say the autumn equinox is ultimately equal day, equal night. And that is true all over the world. It is a time when the sun is shining directly on the equator of the earth, causing there to be equal time for day and night, light and dark on the earth, which basically means, since we too are nature as human beings, we are being gifted with this incredible energy to come into balance, to come into harmony, to integrate, to come into coherence as human beings. So that is one of the most beautiful aspects of this time of year. Now, many people think of the equinox as being the start of a new season. The autumn equinox in this case, of course, it's the spring equinox in the southern hemisphere. But a lot of indigenous tradition or wisdom speaks of these equinoxes and solstices as being the peak of the quarterly event. And I do think that if we really look at this, I live in Colorado, I am definitely seeing us into a peak of the autumn season. I can feel the crispness in the air. I can feel a certain readying that's happening amongst the animals. The squirrels are very busy gathering their nuts and burying them and saving and getting their winter stores. This is a time of harvest and celebration, and there are many festivals and many traditions that celebrate that. The Celtic or pagan festival of Mabon is one of them, and that is a festival that goes for about a week, roughly the day of the equinox, until what is known as another festival that came about in the Christian tradition, but like so many Christian festivals, it really was in the pagan traditions that they existed first, and that is the feast day of Saint Michael. Now, that is based on the Archangel Michael, who is known as this force who cast Lucifer out of heaven, who ultimately is this strength and being who can help us to tame our dragons. And there's this folklore around the story of George and the dragon, and George calling upon the Archangel Michael to help him to tame the dragon. And it's metaphorical, it's archetypical, it's a story and time of courage for us. And in many places, the celebration of Michaelmas is celebrated on September 29th, so about a week after the autumn equinox. And again, Mabon kind of spans this time of the equinox to Michaelmas, September 22nd to 29th or 21st to 29th. And all of these festivals are really kind of turning us inward, turning us toward our essence, our ability to connect more deeply with ourselves. We had a big out breath for the summer, and the autumn equinox and these festivals are all there in numerous wisdom traditions, called different things, expressed in different ways, but all around the same time, celebrating the harvest, celebrating this equal balance that we are experiencing, and asking us to begin to turn our attention inward. Now, this might be a time of getting ready, harvesting all that's in your garden, or preparing for winter food stores, or maybe shifting, the clothing in your closet, or whatever it is. There are so many different ways that it expresses. But what I really wanted to focus on with this video is to help you understand that there are these different festivals that have a very similar flavor and feel to them, and it's not for nothing, okay? There's a reason for it. There is a very ancient tradition, ancient wisdom associated with these festivals, some of them probably being called different things. I am not a scholar in this, so I'm not going to go into a big history lesson, but I have loved looking at these different kinds of festivals to understand some of my own Celtic or pagan roots, and even my Christian roots, and looking at it more esoterically and archetypally to try to understand how these festivals or these experiences and these energy changes impact us as we grow and shift and change through the cycles of the year. Now, this season, this autumn equinox, Michaelmas, Mabon, these festivals kind of mark a shift in a shift in the year that actually begins a series of festivals. And maybe I'll do future videos. I know I will be doing videos on things like the winter solstice and Christmas and things like that, because they're such potent times. But you'll notice, if you start to pay attention, there are many festivals that start with this and continue on all the way through to the Christmas and New Year holidays. And we're going to see things like Michaelmas and Halloween, All Hallows Eve, All Souls Day, Thanksgiving and Advent, and there are just so many different pieces, and those are really touching more on, of course, the American or the Christian holidays. That's my own history, but I know there are so many others, of course, like we have Hanukkah and we have Kwanzaa and we have all these other holidays of kind of a coming of the light that happen between now and the Christmas time, the winter solstice time. And there's so much wisdom and tradition in these festivals that is worth paying attention to. But the main thing I want to emphasize here is that these festivals can begin to help us come into balance, tune into harmony within ourselves, and they often can kind of ignite bringing up what I call our dragons, okay? Very much like this Michaelmas celebration of taming our dragons, the symbolism of courage to tame our dragons, fortitude to move forth. And it's almost like we have this harvest time and there are dragons standing in the way of what we can harvest. And that seems natural, right? We have to do some work to harvest. And so from the inner life perspective, just like outwardly, if you have a garden or a farm, there's a lot of work that has to be done, a lot that has to be overcome and planned and dealt with and paid attention to in order to gather that harvest. Our inner life is the same. We are having this opportunity to harvest whatever is showing up for us in our inner life and our life around us that are ultimately the seed from the seeds that were planted last year around this time, right? And through the holidays, which I'll be talking about in the future videos. But this idea that we can begin to tune into what's getting in the way of that. What hard work do we have to do? Often we might have a more active dream life around this time. We might start to notice things more strongly around this time. We might notice aspects of ourselves that we haven't been so proud of, or old patterns recapitulating, and note, seeing that, oh gosh, there's that habit again, or there's that thing again that I thought I was over. And they're coming up for us to notice. Those could be considered our dragons. Things like self-doubt, perfectionism, anything like that is going to get in our way and stand in our way of the harvest that we want to gather for ourselves, right? All right, so this whole process is really about this really potent energy that opens a portal toward purification and preparation. And it's an entire season. It's not just a day. It's not just the autumn equinox. Yes, that opens a portal up. It's not just the harvest. It's not just Michaelmas. It's not just Mabon. It's this opening and this turning inward, connecting us more deeply with our inner life. And again, if you want to learn more about this and go deeper, there's a whole free workshop in my free community. I invite you to join the community, introduce yourself. It's a beautiful place for us to gather online, connect. I share lots of free information and tips in my Inner Wisdom Circle, a community for women. I will say that specifically. So this is a community for women to connect with their deeper, more empowered self. And part of that is a meditation that I've created and set up there. So be sure to sign up. The link is in the description. Let me know in the comments what questions you have about the equinox, Michaelmas, Mabon, this portal of energy. What shows up for you? What do you notice during this time? Are there some questions about the various festivals? Again, I'm not a scholar. I'm not here to give a big history lesson, but I have been paying attention to these festivals and their meaning and trying to connect more deeply with my own inner wisdom and my own roots and my own understanding of nature and the way that it impacts me. So I hope that this has helped in some way for you to understand how nature in this time of year and this seasonal turn of the wheel might be impacting you. And I hope that you're able to take some time to pause and pay attention to what wants to be purified, what wants to be let go of and released for you at this time, and what is asking to be harvested and paid attention to and maybe preserved, you know, the way that we preserve food and brought into awareness to hold us over through the winter. I plan on doing a video about preparing for winter. Not that we don't want to enjoy the autumn yet at all, but we do need to notice that that is in many ways what nature is doing during the autumn season, is preparing for this darker time, which is so significant. So look for that in a future video. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't so you can get notified about that. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.